Yoimiya is a pyro main DPS character that absolutely shreds bosses with her fast attacks. In today's video, I'm just going to show you guys how to build her, or how I built her, some tips for playing Yoimiya, and overall this is just going to be a quick and, well, I'll try to be quick guide for Yoimiya since she has another rerun banner coming up in 3.2, since I've already made a video on whether or not I feel like she's worth pulling. Alright, so let's take a look at Yoimiya's kit. This is her basic attack combo. Now that's the end of it. When you see her do that little spin, that is right at the end. What you can do to be a little bit more optimal, it's not really required or anything, but you can actually animation cancel her last attack just so you can start her next rotation a little bit faster. So you can either do a dash cancel like that, or you can do the aim cancel. Both are fine. Just do whatever is more comfortable with you. I didn't do that one really well, but you can do either the aim cancel or the dash. They both work fine. Her charge attack is this. Works like any other charge attack, except she gets additional projectiles as well. They also have tracking. I guess they just wanted to hit that plant or the grass. You won't be using her charge attack really at all during combat. Maybe in exploration to light some torches or to knock some hilichurls that are standing on a tower. Next up is her skill. Very simple. It infuses her attacks to be pyro damage and increases her normal attack damage. So just tap E. And while you have these little fireworks dancing around you, all of your attacks are pyro, and they just do more damage. Her combo is still the same. And then her burst, I just lost it because of the artifact set I'm using, but I'm gonna go refill the energy and I'll showcase the burst in just a sec. Alright, let's showcase Yoimiya's burst on these electro slimes. I'm gonna give myself a shield first. But basically when you pop the burst, Yoimiya's gonna jump into the air and fire an arrow, and only one enemy can be marked by this arrow. So let's actually engage the slimes, pop the burst. And you'll see right there, I'll pause it. All right, I'll pause it right here. So you can see there's like this sort of swirl effect on the slime. That is the monster that's being affected by the burst. So when you swap to any other character that isn't Yoimiya, when they attack an enemy that's marked with basically anything, normal attack, skill, burst, whatever, it will trigger an explosion. And to be honest, the explosion isn't even that noticeable. But if the monster dies, this seal or this symbol is going to transfer to another monster, and the same effect will apply to them until the burst eventually expires. So you can kind of see it. You can kind of see the explosion. It doesn't have a sound, and the burst already expired. So you can kind of see it. You just have to hit the enemy with anyone other than Yoimiya for it to proc. Why it's like that, I have no idea. Unfortunately, her burst is probably one of the worst elemental bursts in the game. It's just not that great. And even just aesthetics wise, for being a firework burst, it is very quiet and it's very not noticeable, especially when you're fighting large groups of enemies. And all of this stuff is happening on the screen, and it doesn't even help that much against bosses. Let's take a look at her talents. So we've already showcased the combo and her charge attacks, but the important thing to note about Yoimiya's normal attack talents is you can see that the later half of her combo, the multipliers are much higher. And this is important to note, that for Yoimiya, having a shield is really important, because if you have to stop to either dodge or you get hit, you're resetting your combo. She doesn't have Arataki Ito's luxury of being able to continue her combo after dodging. She will fully reset, so you're only going to be stuck doing the first couple hits rather than doing the full combo and getting the most damage out of Yoimiya. We've already showcased the Elemental Skill. It has pretty low multipliers, unfortunately, and an 18-second cooldown. And then the burst, we've also gone over. It's not anything to write home about. Even the multipliers for it are pretty low, which makes it a very uninteresting and just probably one of the worst bursts in the game, that even her signature weapon rewards you for not having it, and the artifact set that was designed for her even prevents you from having it as well. So That's how bad her burst is. Let's look at her other passive talents. So she has Tricks of the Troublemaker. So basically, as she attacks enemies with her normal attack, she will gain a pyro damage bonus of 2%, which can have up to 10 stacks. So she can get 20% pyro damage just as she hits enemies. Pretty nice talent there. Unfortunately, her next passive talent's kind of weird. Basically, when you use her burst, it will provide a 10% attack increase for 15 seconds to everyone in the team, but not her. So this makes her like, this is like some weird support skill. It also gets additional attack percentage buff increase based on your Tricks of the Troublemaker stack. So if you have 10 stacks here, you'll get an additional 10%. So 20% attack increase at max stacks to your entire team, but not Yoimiya herself, which is kind of weird. I mean, I guess you could just use her burst and then swap to either sub DPS, and they'll do like a little bit more damage, but it's not really that great of a talent. And then for Teapot mains, you guys will enjoy this passive talent because she has a 100% chance to refund a portion of the materials used when making decorations, ornaments, or landscape types of furnishings. For weapons, obviously her signature weapon is going to be her best in slot if you can get it. As I mentioned earlier, even though this weapon has a really long effect, she basically just gets more damage in general, especially to her normal attacks. And it even says right here, you get a stack of increased damage if your energy is less than 100%. Basically, if you don't have her burst, this weapon in particular is actually going to give you more damage, which is just goes to show you how useless her burst is, that her signature weapon doesn't even want you to have it. Other decent weapon options, if you can't get a Thundering Pulse or don't have one, are the Aqua Simulacra, Polar Star, as well for 5-star options. If you have those weapons just laying around, I don't know what your account looks like, but for more free-to-play friendly options, there is the Rust, which is a 4-star bow, which increases normal attack damage at the cost of reducing charge attack damage, which virtually means no downsides here because, again, we don't use her charge attack damage. The Black Cliff Warbow is also a decent option just because it gives crit damage as a substat. The effect won't be giving you much value in a boss fight, but it's still a decent option. And if you're really new and don't even have 4-stars options, a good 3-star is a Slingshot. It gives you crit rate, and basically it also gives you increased damage as you hit enemies. A nice 36%. It gives you way more at Refinement 5. I actually just don't have a Refinement 5 Slingshot. But yeah, plenty of weapon options there. A Skyward Harp is also a good option before I forget to mention, if you manage to pull one of those in the standard banner. Moving on to her artifacts, I got her the Shimenawa's Reminiscence. This artifact set basically gives you more attack on the 2-piece, but the 4-piece, again, you lose 15 energy when you pop your elemental skill to help prevent you from getting your burst. Another way of Hoyoverse telling you that her burst sucks, and her artifact set piece is actually preventing you from getting it, which is a good thing. On other characters, losing that 15 energy would be considered really bad because, you know, their burst is either does a lot of damage or gives you a nice buff, so using this artifact set would not be that great. And it increases your normal attack damage by another 50% for 10 seconds. When you're getting artifacts for Yoimiya, the substats are pretty standard stuff when building any main DPS, so you're going to want crit damage, crit rate, elemental mastery is good. You're actually going to want as little energy recharge as possible, none if you can, but of course attack percentage is good, and flat attack is like the least favorable thing you can get. So you can see on the flower, elemental mastery, crit damage, crit rate. The sands for the main stat, you can go attack percentage, or if you get one with elemental mastery, that is also good. Just pick the one that has better substats. Basically, if you got, you know, crit rate, crit damage on one, go with that. For the goblet, pyro damage bonus, of course. My goblet sucks, but standard, stats there. And then for the circlet, depending on what weapon you're using, either crit rate or crit damage, whichever you have less of. And then same as the substats. Other artifact sets you can use if you don't want, or if you don't have a Shimenawa's set or don't have access to this domain yet, is Crimson Witch, a flame set. That one's okay. You could use Lava Walkers if you're planning to do some weird mono pyro team, which that could work. It's an option. But Shimenawa's is just a really good set because it's also shared with the Emblem of Severed Fate, which is a really, really good artifact set for many characters in this game. So I do recommend getting this one for her. There is another artifact set that some might consider using, but I'm going to go ahead and just say nope. And that would be the Echoes of an Offering. So a lot of people, when this artifact set was first released, saw the increase in normal attack damage and thought, oh, Yoimiya. Well, it's not really that good. This artifact set is based off your ping. So if you don't really have a good internet connection to the servers, you'll end up losing damage rather than gaining it. It's also RNG. You have a chance to do increased damage. And with Yoimiya's combo, with the way RNG works, you could be increasing the damage on some of her weaker hits and just not getting it to proc on some of her more damaging hits, which is very unfortunate and a huge damage loss. That's why it's easier just to go for Shimenawa's or Crimson, just because those effects are more consistent. One thing I forgot to mention about talents is definitely get her normal attack as high as you want. 8 is a good spot, but obviously I like Yoimiya a lot, so I crowned it. You don't have to. 9 is also a good spot as well. Same with the skill. You can crown it. Well, you don't have to crown it, I mean. Either 8 or 9 is fine. And then the burst, you could just leave it, honestly. But some people just like to level it up just to fully triple crown a character. That's up to you. You really don't have to upgrade the burst that much. Constellations, Yoimiya is great for free-to-play players because she does not need her constellations. Although they are nice to have, but again, not a necessity. I'm not going to go over them, but they basically just give you more damage overall, except probably C5 being the most useless one, since it just upgrades the burst. But the rest is basically more damage, and I believe C4, reduces the cooldown of her skill, which is also nice, but not an effect that you'll be getting on bosses. Next up, let's talk about teams for Yoimiya. She is a very versatile character, and she can work with a lot of teammates. You don't have to use just the teams I'm recommending. There's a lot of characters that you can swap in and out depending on what you want to use or what you have. So my standard team for Yoimiya is Jincho to apply Hydro and to get some big vaporized damage. Zhongli is here for the shield. As I mentioned earlier, some people would consider using a shield as a DPS loss. However, Zhongli helps Yoimiya do her combo, or at least the full combo, without having to worry about dodging or being interrupted, and her multipliers are bigger at the end of her combo. And then Bennett is here for healing, and as well as Pyro Resonance and just more damage for Yoimiya, as I'm sure everyone knows how good Bennett is. However, you can swap out some teammates here and there depending on, again, who you have and what you want to use. So for example, if you don't want to use Jingcho, you can use Yelan, or you can use Yelan and Jingcho. If you don't have Zhongli, you could use Toma or Diona, or if you don't even want a shield, you could consider using other support characters like Yunjin. Yunjin, who provides normal attack buffs with her burst. You can use Rosaria to give you more crit rate. You could use Venti, Sucrose, Kazuha for the swirl, or just to help group up your enemies if you're using her in that way. There's just so many teammates that she is absolutely fine with being used with, that she's, again, very versatile character. If you do not want to use the Vape elemental reaction, you can also opt in to try a overloaded one. This one uses Fischl and Beto to basically just constantly have overloaded on the screen. And Beto's burst actually helps Yoimiya's major weakness, which is big groups of enemies, since she allows you to attack multiple enemies with her burst. You can also swap Bennett for someone else if you want to. I'm not sure how well Yoimiya would work with a Burgian elemental reaction team that would require a Dendro and a Hydro to get that going, and I just don't have that available quite yet, and I haven't tried it out. But basically, Yoimiya has a lot of teammates that she can be used with. I forgot to mention even Candace. She can be used with Candace since Candace provides elemental damage bonus for normal attacks as well. So lots and lots of options to go with. And finally, I just want to say before this video goes on for too long that Yoimiya has been a fantastic character for me. I've been using her ever since her very first banner, and I've used her in just about every piece of content in the game that it has to offer, like the Spiral Abyss. I've used her for farming bosses, the weekly bosses, just everything. It is just a shame that her downsides are that her burst really sucks and that parts to her kit that doesn't just synergize well. Like her charge attacks are, again, very weird. You're not going to be using those. She has talents that are kind of all over the place, like the one that buffs your team, but not her when you use her burst. But that being said, she still works as a single target main DPS character. I don't want to rant too much. Thank you guys for watching. Hopefully this video is helpful to somebody. If you have any questions about Yoimiya, anything, weapons, artifacts, talents, playstyle that I didn't cover well enough, feel free to leave a comment down below, and I'll do my best to answer it, or maybe someone else can help me out. And I'll see you guys in 3.2. I'm excited for it. Good luck to those that are pulling for Yoimiya, and thank you for watching.